Hello everyone, welcome back to Milestone Gaming. My name is Malachi Gardner, and today I'm going to be playing through the Oath scenario for the Lord of the Rings LCG. I hope you'll enjoy the video. After a brief stay in Lorien, the heroes were on their way back to Thranduil with the news of a recent ordeal in Dol Guldur. They had just crossed the Anduin River when they saw smoke billowing up from the eaves of Murkwood. They followed the black fumes up to the remains of a woodman village. Dead bodies lay strewn among the blackened wreck of the woodman village. Some had black feathered arrows sticking from their backs, while others were crudely hewn. "This is orc work," cursed one of the heroes. "It was goblins did this." A raspy voice came from one of the figures on the ground. It was a woodman with an arrow in his back. He struggled to lift his head. "They took our families," he groaned. "You must rescue them." The woodman's eyes pleaded with the heroes, even as his strength failed him. One of the companions knelt at his side and spoke. "We will find your people and rescue them if we can, or avenge them if we cannot. You have my word." The injured man nodded and exhaled his last breath. Wasting no time, the heroes searched for sign of the Goblin's Trail. It was easy enough to find, a heavy trampling that led deeper into the forest. The heroes drew their weapons and followed the trail into the woods. Alright, so this is the Oath scenario for the Lord of the Rings LCG, coming from the Dark of Mirkwood expansion. What I just read there was the flavor text listed in that book for the Oath, and I have the scenario all set up here. Just need to draw the starting hand, which I'll do so right now. Alright, so the campaign card right here for the Oath reads: you are playing in campaign mode. Set up, each player chooses one adaptation, boon, attachment, and attaches it to one of their heroes. Shuffle the Stalking Goblin Burden enemy into the encounter deck. Add Stalking Goblin and each attached adaptation to the campaign pool. Response: at the end of each round, place one resource token here. So, I have already gone ahead and done that. So the Stalking Goblin is inside the encounter deck, and the adaptation I chose here is the Might of Tactics. It says setup attached to a hero. Attached hero gains the tactics resource icon and action. Deal 1 damage to attached hero to deal 3 damage to an enemy engaged with you. Limit once per campaign. Record in campaign log when used. So this will be nice because, as you see here, I have a mono spirit deck, and so we're going to be doing a lot of questing. So we're going to be able to do a lot of questing, generate a lot of willpower, but our damage output won't be as good as if we were playing. With, a tactics hero like Aragorn or Gimli and playing a bunch of tactics allies. With the Might of Tactics, I was able to throw in a couple of tactics cards into the deck, but it's largely a spirit deck, and so we'll see how this goes. Playing mono with just one color is not always the greatest idea in a solo game, but I feel like with the Might of Tactics, throwing in, I think I put in 9 different, something like 9 cards into this 50 card deck that are tactics, so we'll have a slight splash of tactics in this game, but it's pretty much a spirit, so we'll see how this goes. For the scenario setup, we had to search the encounter deck for the Eaves of Murkwood location, and then the Goblin Troop enemy. We set the Goblin Troop out of play, and then the Eaves of Murkwood are in the staging area, and then we just went ahead and shuffled the encounter deck. And so I'll go ahead and read this flavor text here. Marauding goblins have raided a woodman village on the eaves of Murkwood Forest. The goblins killed the guards and took many of the villagers captive. Those left behind beg you to rescue their loved ones. You swear an oath to the survivors that you will rescue the captured women and bring justice to the goblins who attacked them. Then you enter Murkwood Forest to find their trail. So we need 9 progress tokens to be placed there. And for the Eaves of Murkwood card, that's right here, it's producing 2 threat, and then it has a quest point value of 2. And while the Eaves of Murkwood is the active location, encounter card effects cannot be cancelled. So that is the setup there. Let's take a look at the starting hand I have. And we have Unexpected Courage, which is a great card. Attachment costing 2, and as an action, you can exhaust Unexpected Courage to ready the attached hero. West Road Traveler, costs 2, generates 2 willpower, and has 1 life. No attack or defense, unfortunately, though. But response: after you play West Road Traveler from your hand, switch the active location with any other location in the staging area. This would be a great card for this scenario since it's going to give us some more willpower, which is great, but then also this scenario has a lot of encounters, encounter cards that are locations, and so then we'll be able to swap those around if there's a location we really need to deal with quickly. Gandalf is a card I'm sure you're all pretty familiar with. Has 5 resource cost, 4 for all of his stats, and then at the end of the round, discard Gandalf from play. Response: after Gandalf enters play, choose 1, draw 3 cards, deal 4 damage to 1 enemy in play, or reduce your threat by 5. Now, before I go any further, I will like to state here that I am not going to be explaining how to play the game in this video. I've already done another video where I have, gone through the rules, so I'll link that in the top right corner. You'll be able to click on that and access that first playthrough. This playthrough will just be me playing the game. The Ancient Mathon is an attachment that actually goes onto a location, and after attached location is explored, the first player draws 3 cards, so that'll be nice. And then finally, then we also have the Silver Circle here, which costs 2, and then you attach it to a spirit. Hero, limit 1 per hero. It's restricted, and attached hero gets +2 willpower. And finally, we have Elrond's Council. Action: if you control a unique Noldor character, give another character +1 willpower until the end of the phase, and lower your threat by 3. And this is a cost of 0. So, I think that this is a pretty good hand here, so I'm going to go ahead and keep this, and we will move on into our first turn. And so let's take a look at the heroes I have picked out. So we have Arwen here, and she has a threat cost of 9, 3 willpower, 1 attack, 2 defense, 3 health. And action: discard a card from your hand to add 1 resource to a Noldor hero's resource pool or to Aragorn's resource pool. Limit once per round. Adrian has 11 threat, 2 willpower, 3 attack, 2 defense, and 4 health. Response: after a location is explored, ready Adrian. And then Aragorn, who does have the Might of Tactics equipped to him, has a threat cost of 12, 2 for willpower, 3 for attack, 2 for defense, and 5 for life. He has the Sentinel trait, which really won't matter too much in a solo game, unfortunately, but he also has an action saying exhaust Aragorn to choose a location in the staging area. Until the end of the phase, that location gets -X threat, where X is Aragorn's willpower. If this effect reduces the location's willpower to 0, place 1 progress on it, limit once per round. I like that ability quite a bit, as it's able to explore locations and place progress tokens on them while they're in the staging area, but it also allows you to ignore their willpower, ignore their threat value, so that's great. Let's go ahead and draw a card and see what we get. It is Heroes of Arendelle, and it says play only if you control a unique character with the Noldor trait, and another unique character with the Dunedain trait. Action: choose a non-unique location in the staging area and raise your threat by X to discard it. X is the chosen location's printed quest points. So, we do have a Noldor character, that is Arwen, and then Aragorn is our Dunedain character. So, Adrian is also a Dunedain. So, we will be able to play this, and I think I'm not going to play it now. I mean, I could play it just to get rid of the Ease of Murkwood, but I'll save it for some location that is a little bit more dangerous. Alright, so I think the first thing I want to do, well, first I need to add 1 resource to everyone's pool, of course, but I think that playing Unexpected Courage is always a good thing to do on the first turn, but then also, Ancient Malcolm, I would like to put this on the Ease of Murkwood so that I will be able to draw 3 cards when it is explored, and it only has 2 quest points, so it really shouldn't take too long for me to explore it. So I think I want to play these 2 cards. Just want to double check, just make sure there's nothing else. Yeah, no. Those are the cards I'm going to play this turn. So I'm going to spend 1 resource to add Ancient Malcolm, attach it to the Ease of Murkwood, and then I'll add 2 resources, and I think I'll put this on Aragorn. That way he can use his ability once per turn, and then quest, attack, or defend. Then, if I wanted to, I could discard a card from my hand to use Arwen's ability to gain 1 resource. I don't think I'm actually going to do that right now, because I really like these cards, and they allow me to have lots of flexibility. So I think I won't do that currently, but I may do that in the future. So then I am going to go ahead and move on to the quest phase, and I'm going to go quest with Arwen and Adrian. Alright, and then I'm going to go ahead and, so those will be the people I commit to the quest, and then I'm going to use the action window here to exhaust Aragorn, and Aragorn's current willpower is 2, and the threat of the Eves of Murkwood is also 2, so I'm going to reduce that down by 2 to 0, and since it is now 0 for this phase, I'm going to place 1 progress token on it, and then I'm going to exhaust Unexpected Courage to ready Aragorn again, and then we are going to go ahead and reveal the card here to see what it is, and it is a Goblin Sniper. So we have 2 threat here, 2 attack, 0 defense, and 2 health. During the encounter phase, players cannot optionally engage Goblin Sniper if there are other enemies in the staging area. Forced, if Goblin Sniper is in the staging area, at the end of the combat phase, each player deals 1 damage to a character they control. Honestly, that was actually a pretty good card to get right now because this is the only enemy in the staging area, so it won't actually harm us at all. So, because we'll just be able to go ahead and engage him and deal with him, because he's quite weak, actually. And when you actually engage him in hand-to-hand combat, as long as he's in the staging area, that's when he can be pretty tricky to deal with. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and tally up all of our willpower, which is 3 plus 2, so that's 5. And then in the staging area, we have just the Goblin Sniper contributing a threat, because Aragorn made the Eves of Murkwood have 0 threat. So just a 2 versus 5, so we're going to go ahead and place 3 out of the 9 we need. And then I am going to go ahead and I'm not actually, so now we're going to go on to the travel phase, and I actually do not think that I want to travel to the Eves of Murkwood, because I don't actually need to. So what I mean is I'm actually going to go ahead, and at the beginning of the next turn, I'm just going to go ahead and exhaust Aragorn, and I am going to reduce the Eves of Murkwood threat by 2, and then it will be 0, so I'll place a progress token on it, which will be the second progress token, and so that will just be explored. So I'm not actually going to travel to that because I want this to stay in the staging area. I'm going to go ahead and optionally engage Goblin Sniper, moving on to the engagement phase, and then he's going to go ahead and get a shadow card here, and I am going to not defend against this attack, so we're going to reveal this, and it says, Shadow, deal 1 damage to a character you control. So, I'm going to go ahead and deal 1 damage to a character I control, which I will go ahead and give this to Arwen. And then he's going to do 2 unblocked damage, so I'll have to deal that to a hero, and I'm going to give that to Adrian. Okay, then I'm going to exhaust Aragorn to attack and defeat the Goblin Sniper. Okay, so now moving on to the refresh phase, I'm going to ready all of my characters and attachments, increase my threat to 33, and then we'll go on and gain more resources. So it's going to get a resource, and we get a card, which is Elven Light, which is a very good card. And it costs 1 resource and says, Elven Light can only be played from your discard pile. Action, return Elven Light to your hand from your discard pile, then draw 1 card. So this is great because Arwen will be able to discard it, we'll gain resources from that, and then if we wanted to, we could return this to our hand, and they give us an extra card. So that's very nice, and I think I'm actually going to go ahead and start off by using Arwen's ability to discard this card and give 1 resource to Aragorn. Reason for that is that Aragorn has the Spirit and the Tactics resource icons, so he is just more versatile when it comes to playing cards and paying for the resources. So, we now have 4 resources, so if I wanted to, I could play both Westroad Traveler and the Silver Circlet, and that would just give me a lot of willpower. Now, before I forget, Well, actually, I did forget, but the special scenario card here says we need to place a resource token here at the end of each round as a sort of timer mechanic, and so we'll go ahead and do that. And now, I think I will go ahead and do that. Just play both of these cards, so let's go ahead and give the Silver Circlet to Arwen, and then that will boost her willpower by 2, and then Westward Traveler will enter play, and we're not going to use her ability at all, which is fine. So, questing, we're going to commit Arwen, Idrian, and Westward Traveler, and that will produce quite a bit of willpower. Then, action window, we're going to exhaust Aragorn. The Eves of Murkwood now have 0 willpower, 0 threat, so now we're going to place a second progress token on it, which defeats it. Since we defeat it, 2 things happen. First, Ancient Malcolm allows us to draw 3 cards, so we'll go ahead and do that. And then, we have a response ability here, which allows us to ready her since we explored a location. So that was a nice little chain reaction there. Let's take a look at these cards. So we have a Defender of Ramus, 2 costs, 0 willpower, 1 attack, 4 defense, which is really the reason you play this card, and then 1 life. Galadriel's Handmaiden, costs 2, 2 willpower, 0 attack, 1 defense, 1 health. Response after Galadriel's Handmaiden enters play, choose a player. That player reduces the threat by 1. And Hasty Stroke costs 1, and you can play it as a response to cancel a shadow effect just triggered during combat, which is always great to have this up your sleeve. Okay, so some nice cards there that I just drew, and so now let's go on to the staging, which says, Goblins are upon you. Oh no, when revealed, each player must search the encounter deck and discard pile for a goblin enemy, and put it into play engaged with them. Shuffle the encounter deck. This effect cannot be cancelled. So we can search through and find a goblin. I'm honestly just tempted to just bring back this Goblin Sniper. He's not a big deal. We can deal with him pretty easily. Yeah, so he is going to go ahead and just engage us. And I did look through the deck here, so I'm going to shuffle this. So yeah, he'll just not even contribute his threat because he's already engaged with us, which means there is no threat in the staging area. So we have 3, 4, 5 from Arwen. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 willpower. There's no opposition. So we're going to go ahead and place 9 progress tokens on after the raid, which means that there are now 12 progress tokens. So we can go ahead and move on from that. And I'm actually going to stop shuffling here because I'm going to need to look through the deck again. Alright, so we're going to go on to Murkwood Forest. The Goblin Trail leads you deeper into the dark forest of Murkwood. The enemy has a significant lead, but the sign of their passing is easy to follow. You may yet overtake them if you press on. Alright, so we need 12 progress tokens there, and it says when revealed, each player searches the encounter deck and discard pile for a forest location and adds it to the staging area. Shuffle the encounter deck. This stage cannot be defeated unless at least 1 copy of Goblin Trail is in the victory display. So now we're going to have to go through the deck again, and I'm going to go ahead and find the Goblin Trail. And so, let's go ahead and shuffle back just a bit. So this has 3 willpower, 6 quest points, travel, reveal a top card in the encounter deck to travel here. Response, when Goblin Trail leaves play as an explored location, place 6 progress tokens on the current quest, and victory 3, which means after we defeat this, we will add it to the victory display, which will allow us to progress through this quest here. So, that's an interesting card because if any, essentially any progress tokens you place on it will eventually go onto the Murkwood Forest quest card itself. So that's a little bit weird, but it'll make it a little bit easier for us. So then, I'm going to go ahead and travel to the Goblin Trail here, which means we do need to reveal the top card in the encounter deck, which is Tangled Grove, has X threat and 3 quest points. X is the number of locations in the staging area, and then travel, each player must discard 1 random card from their hand to travel here. Okay. Moving on, there's no enemies to engage. I'm going to go ahead and give a shadow card to Goblin Sniper. Aragorn is going to defend this attack. Shadow effect, deal 1 damage to a character you control. And so I'm going to go ahead and give this to Aragorn so that everyone's had a little bit of love and a little bit of damage there. So then, Goblin Sniper attack does 2 damage, minus Aragorn's defense, which is 2, so nothing happens. And then we're going to go ahead and attack the Goblin Sniper and defeat it. So he did not have a very, very successful attack. We're going to go ahead and place resource on the Oath, and then ready all of our characters here, and increase our threat. Okay, so new card for his turn is another Heirs of Arendelle, so might be helpful. Honestly, actually not a bad idea just to play it right now, so we'll see what we get. Okay, so then we can look through and potentially could discard a card if we wanted to get an extra resource. I actually think that that's not a bad idea. So I'm going to discard this copy of Heirs of Arendelle to gain 1 resource to Aragorn's resource pool. Then I'm going to play Galadriel's Handmaiden, and using these resources, then I can reduce my threat by 1. And then I'm going to use Aragorn's resources to play Defender of Ramus, so that we don't really need to worry about blocking anymore. We can just have a devoted person to defense. So that will be what I'm doing, and let's see if I can get this on the camera. There we go. So then let's go ahead and commit some more characters to questing. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Galadriel's Handmaiden, Westeroad Traveler, Aragorn, Eredin, and Arwen. So everybody. And then let's go ahead and stage. Actually, before we get to the staging, I'm going to use Unexpected Courage to ready Aragorn, just in case. And then let's go ahead and reveal the card here. When revealed, each player returns 1 enemy engaged with them to the staging area. If no enemy was returned to the staging area this way, Surprising Speed gets Surge and Doomed 1. So Surge, we draw another card. Doomed 1, we increase our threat by 1. And so the new card is Wild Wargs. So we have 2 attack and threat, 1 defense, 3 health, and forced after Wild Wargs engages you. Discard the top card of the encounter deck. If that card is a goblin enemy, put it in play engaged with you. Okay, so now we have 1, 2, 3 threat, and then our willpower is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that is a total of 10, the difference there. So we're going to go ahead and place 6 progress tokens on the Goblin Trail, which does explore it fully. And then when we do that, we're going to place 6 progress tokens on the quest card because of the Goblin's Trail's ability. So, in fact, we're just going to be getting rid of the Goblin Trail and then placing 10 progress tokens on Murkwood Forest, which is great. Next, I'm going to go ahead and place Tangled Grove down here. And so since we went ahead and did that, we are going to need to go ahead and shuffle our hand and discard a random card. So this is not great, but got rid of Gandalf. That would have been really nice to keep, but oh well. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and have to engage the Goblin side of the Wild Wargs, and we're going to discard this card. And if this was a Goblin enemy, it would engage us, but it is not. It is a spider. So that is 2 things. First off, we don't need to face the spider, which is great. And secondly, we don't actually have to face an additional enemy. So, I'm going to go ahead and exhaust Defender of Ramus to defend with our massive 4 defense. And Shadow. Attacking enemy makes an additional attack immediately after this one, which is an annoying card. And we are going to give him a new Shadow effect card there. And I forgot to ready Adrian from that location being explored, but we will go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to go ahead and exhaust Aragorn, and we're going to defend this attack. And it says deal 1 damage to an exhausted character you control. I will go ahead and deal 1 damage to Arwen. And then discard that. And so the attack does no damage to Aragorn because he has 2 defense. Then we're going to go ahead and attack with Adrian and do 2 damage to the work there, which does mean he has 1 life left. So maybe I should not have blocked that second attack, but oh well. It is what it is, and I am glad that Aragorn did not get dealt much damage, because we are going to need to fight the Goblin Troop at some point, who is quite beefy. So, then I'm going to increase my threat by 1, place a third resource token here, so this is the third round here, and then we're going to go ahead and draw a card. So, another copy-pasty stroke, very helpful, and maybe I'll actually have some leftover resources to be able to use it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and actually I'm going to use a resource from Arendelle to play Elven Light. So you can only play this from your discard pile, and so now I will go ahead, add this to my hand, and then draw a card. Alright, and we do another copy of Elven Light. So now I'm going to go ahead and discard this copy of Elven Light, and give 1 resource to Aragorn. So in effect, that just allowed me to draw an extra card. So now I have a copy of Elven Light in my hand, so that was pretty nice. Now, actually I'm thinking I probably should have played Heirs of Arendelle last turn. That would have been helpful to get rid of that Tangled Grove. Then I won't have to discard Gandalf, but oh well, what is done is done. So, now we're going to go ahead and go questing, and we're going to go ahead and go with Arwen, and Arendelle, and Galadriel, and the Westward Traveler. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And we need to place 3 here and 2 here. So that might actually be overkill, but we'll do it, and we'll see what happens. So it's a Forest Gate, and so he has 2 threat, 4 quest points, and then response after you travel to Forest Gate. The first player draws 2 cards. So that's actually kind of a beneficial location, which is great. There aren't many of those. So now we have 2 threat here, and so we're going to place 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 progress tokens. 3 will go on the Tangled Grove, getting rid of that, and 2 will go onto Murkwood Forest, getting rid of that. Finally, we're on the last stage here, so the rear guard. When revealed, the first player adds the set-aside Goblin Troop to the staging area. Each other player searches the encounter deck and discard pile for a goblin enemy and adds it to the staging area. Shuffle the encounter deck. So we are going to add this guy to the staging area, who is pretty tough. So 3 threat, 5 attack, 3 defense, 6 health, and then cannot have attachments while Goblin Troop is engaged with you. Each other goblin enemy engaged with you gets +1 attack and defense. And I really should not have quested with everyone because now I don't have defenders to deal with that. So we'll have to figure that out. But the card here says the goblins are aware of your pursuit and form a rear guard to confront you, while the others retreat to their secret hideaway. You must defeat this troop before you can continue your chase. The stage cannot be defeated while Goblin Troop is in play. When the stage is defeated, the heroes discover the trail to the goblins' secret lair, and the players win the game. So we'll have to deal with this guy in order to get through. So we're going to use 6 progress tokens, but we also need to defeat the Goblin Troop, which, since this is a spirit deck, defeating the Goblin Troop is going to be much more difficult than getting the 6 progress tokens, as you may have noticed. So let's go ahead and travel to the Forest Gate. We'll draw 2 cards, and Westward Traveler, and a perfect card for the situation. I mean, I'd rather have gotten Feint, but Riddermark Knight, so he has 2 resource costs, 0 willpower and defense, but then 2 attack and health. It responds after Riddermark Knight is declared as an attacker. He gets +2 attack for this attack, and at the end of this attack, discard Riddermark Knight. So you can do 1 big attack for 4 damage, which is really all we need which should be good in order just to get rid of the Goblin Troop. And we have quite a few resources saved up, so hopefully we'll be able to play some cool stuff. Okay, so well, that's interesting. I was just thinking, I could play Elrond's Council right now, and I could, yes, I'd give one of my characters a +1 willpower, which would be wasted, but I would also lower my threat by 3. Now, the Goblin Troop has an engagement cost of 35, and I have a threat of 35. So, I don't think it actually might be a pretty good idea to play this card now. That way, we can have an additional turn or 2, and just engage the Goblin Troop when we want to, instead of him engaging us right now. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to give Aragorn an extra willpower until the end of the phase, but that's not really going to matter. The big thing is now my threat is 32, so the Goblin Troop is not going to engage me, and I'm not going to optionally engage him. And so we're just going to move on to combat with the Wild Wargs. Now, I keep on forgetting this, but we did explore a location, which is the Tangled Grove, so we have this character right here. So Defender of Ramus is going to defend against the Warg's attack, and it is Eyes in the Dark. Shadow, if this attack is undefended, discard an ally you control. Well, I'm very glad this attack is defended, so that does nothing. 2 damage is going to be dealt to Defender of Ramus, who has 4 defense, so nothing bad happens there. And then Aragorn is going to finish off the war here. Alright, so that is that. So if I wanted to, I could have engaged the Goblin Troop, and we would have had been able to do some damage to him, but oh well. This way, hopefully with this my plan, he will only get 1 attack on us, and we'll just be able to handle that and then defeat him in 1 stroke, which is what I'm hoping. So, let's go ahead and ready my characters. We'll place a resource token, actually, on this card here. Increase my threat by 1, and we'll draw a card, which is, alright, another copy of Heirs of Arendelle. So, I'll go ahead and add that to my hand. Then we're going to gain 1 resource to each of my heroes' resource pools, and then we're going to discard this copy of Elven Light to gain an additional resource to Aragorn's pool, using Arwen's ability. Okay, then I am going to have Aragorn use 2 resources to play Withermark Knight, who will be able to give us some extra attack power, and so hopefully I won't even need to use the Might Attack Pix's 1-time use ability. If I do, that'll be fine. This is only a 2-scenario long campaign, so not too bad if I waste it now, but hopefully not. So I'm going to play another copy of the West Road Traveler, and so we'll just add 2 more resources there. And so, if anything, I might just chump block with West Road Traveler. We'll see what happens here. So then, let's go ahead and quest with Arwen, Iridian, and 2 copies of West Road Traveler, and we'll leave Aragorn, Withermark Knight, Defender Ramus, and Galadriel's Handmaiden already, and see how much willpower is that. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That should be plenty. That should be more than enough. Okay, Tangled Grove. So again, just 1 willpower there. And then, so that's 4 willpower, and we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that is going to be enough to place 6, so we'll get rid of the Forest Gate with 4, and then we'll place 2 progress tokens on the rear guard. So we just need 4 more. Alright, so then let's go ahead and engage the Goblin Troop, and Iridian is ready because I explored the Forest Gate. You know what? I think I might just go to the... Alright, so I'm not going to travel to the Tangled Grove. Goblin Troop cannot have attachments, and since he's engaged with me, each other Goblin enemy gets +1 attack and defense, but he's the only one, so hopefully we'll be able to take it down. Alright, so I am thinking this card has really no disadvantages to jump blocking, which is when you take a weak enemy who has 1 health and weak ally who has 1 health and just have them block the attack against a big enemy. So I'm honestly just going to do that because there's no disadvantages to it as far as I see, unless the shadow effect says something, in which case I'll just play Hasting Stroke and ignore that. Okay, no shadow effect. 5 damage to Galadriel's Handmaiden, who has 1 defense, so that's going to be 4 damage, which definitely defeats her, but that's great. No damage is dealt to any heroes or anything like that. Now, let's go ahead and attack with Defender Ramus, Withermark Knight, Adrian, and Aragorn. So in total that's 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 attack, which is going to break through 3 defense and deal 6 damage to the Goblin Troop, defeating it. So that was great. Wow, that was much better than I was hoping, even. So that was great. Let's go ahead and ready everybody. And so now we just need to place 4 progress tokens on the rear guard, and then we'll just win the game. So let's see if we can just do that. Basically just quest with everybody and win. That's what I'm hoping. Need to place 1 more progress token on the rear guard. Or sorry, the oath right there. Alright, Gandalf is the card we get, which is not bad. We'll discard Heirs of Arendelle to gain 1 resource. Then, honestly, I really do think just going all out is basically the way to go. So let's go ahead and use this action. Let's go ahead and play Gandalf. For hand for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then let's just, I don't know, draw 3 cards. I don't really need any of those abilities, but we get 2 copies of Rally the West and 1 copy of Defend of Ramus. And Rally the West is a side quest, so when we play this card, we can put it in the staging area, and instead of questing towards the main objective here, the main quest, we can declare that we're going to place all progress tokens on Rally the West. Instead, you still need to go through locations first, but then once you fill out its quest points, then you will place it in the victory display and we'll get an ability. In this case, while this quest is in the victory display, each hero gets +1 willpower, which is great. And it does have a limit of 1 copy of Rally the West in the victory display. So those are pretty cool, but we definitely do not need that right now. I'm going to go ahead and quest with Gandalf, Western Traveler, both of them, Aragorn, and in fact I'm actually going to, I'll quest with everybody, but first, before going to the staging area, I'm going to use Unexpected Courage to ready Aragorn. Then I'm going to exhaust him again to reduce the Tangled Drove's willpower, threat by 2, and then that places a progress token on it because it's now at 0 willpower. So now I'm going to go ahead and reveal the staging card, which would have to be pretty crazy in order to not have us win the game right now. Driven by Shadow, when revealed, each enemy and each location in the staging area gets +1 willpower until the end of the phase. If there are no cards in the staging area, Driven by Shadow gains Surge. Okay, so that is that. So we get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 willpower versus 0 threat. Because Tangled Grove is 1 threat from just the ability, because there's only 1 location in the staging area, and then Driven by Shadow give it an additional 1, but it is, Aragorn put it down to, well, he put it down to -1, and then Driven by Shadow let it up at 0, so nothing happens there, and we're going to place 17 progress tokens on the location, or rather the quest, and that definitely does clear. And honestly, if I wanted to clear the location as well, I could play Heirs of Arendelle right now and raise my threat by 3 in order to just discard Tangled Grove if I wanted to. But I'm not going to because it doesn't really matter. But point is, we did it. So that is great. That went very well. And so now we're on the 5th turn here. So let's go ahead and read the back of this card here. Resolution. If there are 6 or more resource tokens here, the thought of the captured villagers' suffering weighs heavily on you. Add the guilty conscience treachery burden to the campaign pool. You have defeated the enemy rearguard, but the rest have escaped into the mountains of Murkwood with their prisoners. You must track the goblins to their hold if you are to fulfill your oath. Okay, so we only had 5, but if we had taken 1 more round, we would have had to add this nasty card to the deck, which has Surge. When revealed, attach to the hero with the highest threat cost, counts as an adaptation attachment with text, forced, raise your threat by 2. At the end of each round, action spend 2 resources from attached hero's resource pool to discard this card. So this is great that we do not have to put that in our deck, because that would have been kind of annoying to have to deal with. So that is the oath scenario here, and so next time I will be playing through the Caves of Anubin Doom, and so that will be pretty exciting. Yeah, so I thought this went really well. I hope you all enjoyed watching this video. I hope it was fun for you to watch, and I hope you enjoyed it. So, if you did enjoy it, please consider liking the video and subscribing to Maelstrom Gaming to see more content just like this. And until next time, happy gaming.